good to see me, isn't it?
No need to respond. That was rhetorical.
Yeah, so yeah, spoiler alert to some parts of this video. Light spoilers only. I won't be spoiling anything big. But actually this is a musical, so you should know about this.
Oh, see, we're both. The girls are wet tonight.
Slow down, baby.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Raphael, you can call me Rafa. And for today's video, we will be doing a movie review of something close to my heart. Right now, I want to say sorry if my voice is too low or very low energy or very quiet because Jim is currently sleeping and I don't want to wake him up. We don't want to wake up the monster. I don't know if it is obvious what movie we will be reviewing today. Yep. Okay, let's cut this gimmick. Of course, we'll be reviewing the greatest film of the year. Yes, I'm calling it that. We'll be talking about John M. Chu's Wicked, starring Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, Ethan Slater, Peter Dinklage, Marissa Bode. Honestly, I don't know how to talk about this because I am so pressured to do a movie review about it because Wicked is so very close to my heart. Anyway, just a background, I actually saw the film 3 times already. I know that is kind of absurd for some people. The amount that we pay for movies nowadays, that is kind of hell expensive. However, this film deserves all of that money. Take all of my money, Wicked, because this movie, wow, what a masterpiece. If you guys didn't know, I am a huge fan of the musical. Ever since I saw it in the news when I was a kid, I was already a fan of it. I've sung Defying Gravity every time. For good. I love every music in it. The first time that I saw it, I was with a friend who is one of the few people who I share my love for this musical with, and that is Shane. First time I watched Wicked, I was with Shane and Dana. Ever since Shane and I met way back in college, we actually talked about this movie a lot. We actually dream of seeing the show on Broadway in New York. We've been gawking about it since we met, and now we watched it together, and we were with our friend Dana, our token straight friend. Day, if you're watching, keep streaming that soundtrack. Second time I watched it, I was with my boo, of course, Jim, and with friends Jen and Bea, big fans of Cynthia Erivo, and actually Jen, a fan of the musical, so I was also excited to share that with her. It was so fun as we saw it. One of the few things that happened in my second viewing is seeing how affected Jim was because he was making fun of me after I saw it for the first time, and then I went home and I was fanboying so hard. I said that I cried a lot. I howled. The term is howled, not cried. I'm not joking if I say this is one of the best pieces of media I've ever consumed ever.
Imagine if this was Broadway.
He was making fun of me and now he understood why. Now he is also a big fan of the musical, and every time we play Does music, he actually cries, and he is still streaming the soundtrack to this day. I love to see that. The movie converted him. Although I overhyped him a lot, the movie still met his expectations. The third time that I saw it, I was with my girls, my sisters, my little sisters, my siblings. So that is also a special moment since my youngest sister, she has a commitment the next day. I was able to convince her on her birthday to rush to the cinemas just to watch the movie just because of how my other sister and I loved it and she had to see it. So I will be posting the vlogs of all of my viewings after this movie review. Let's start. This movie is Wicked, directed by John M. Chu, the director of Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights. First of all, let's talk about the characters. Of course, we have the leading ladies. Ariana Grande, our pop stars. Ariana is such a revelation. She is charismatic, charming, perfect in every way, the perfect Glinda. She is actually Glinda. As I said, I'm a big fan of the musical. I love Kristen Chenoweth. The way that Ariana did her spin of this character, how she made it her own, she emulated that same charm and charisma of Kristen Chenoweth, because Glinda is such a charming character because aside from her being an airhead as kind of an enabler, we will talk about that later. If you think about it, Glinda has a tendency to be very cringy at times because of her behavior, because of how quirky she is. So that's the special thing about Glinda. She is all of that, but in a very good way. Ariana was able to pull that off. You will see a different Ariana here. I remember reading an interview where she said that Stephen Schwartz offered to rearrange Popular into a more hip-hop song. However, of course, she refused because she is a big fan of the musical. She has been manifesting this role ever since, and she said that she wants to do this as Glinda. She doesn't want to do Ariana as Glinda. I don't know how to express how amazing Ariana is in the character. I love Kristen with all of my heart, but Ariana made this her own. The way she transitioned her character arc from being that bimbo, from being that airhead, into a sympathetic character that relates to Elphaba despite all of their differences. And of course, we will talk about the amazing Cynthia Erivo. What a talent. When Cynthia was announced as Elphaba, I was actually not surprised. I didn't have any strong emotions. I didn't doubt her in 1 second. Despite all of the controversies, all of her questionable statements, I didn't mind that because Cynthia is such an amazing talent, both as an actress and of course a vocalist. Having an awesome theater background, Cynthia Erivo performed the hell out of that character. And as much as Ariana, Cynthia is also Elphaba. Despite loving Idina, Cynthia still made this her own. She portrayed that character well, that undertone of having always to prove something, to stand up for what is right, to feel left out and have that strong conviction. She did that in a way that it wasn't very in your face, very aggressive. She did it in a way that you can feel how she cares for her causes. One of the reasons that I love Wicked is how I can relate so much to Elphaba because of how sometimes she gets in her way of fighting for what is right, for what she thinks is right, for fighting for her beliefs, and she does it in an aggressive way that puts her in a bad light because people tend to be intimidated by that. She didn't have any problem portraying that undertone in the character. The way you root for them both is such a special moment because you know that they have different motivations, but still, despite their contradicting motivations and personalities, you still root for them both. And then of course we have to talk about Jonathan Bailey. He did an awesome job. Some people say that he was miscast as Fiyero because they were supposed to be students. So Ariana and Cynthia actually kind of passed that. They kind of look young. However, Jonathan Bailey, despite him being handsome, still kind of look old and not a student. I kind of understand why people said that. However, the way that Jonathan played this very shallow, self-absorbed character, and then he cares a lot and he also stands up for what is right, I think Jonathan Bailey still did a good job. And of course, his dance moves and dancing through life, wow, what an awesome choreography, of course, with the help of John M. Chu, who has that amazing credential of In the Heights. And then of course, Wizard Jeff Goldblum, what an iconic person who is in this movie playing an iconic character. Like Ariana, Jeff Goldblum is very charismatic because the Wizard is charismatic, because that is his whole shtick. The Wizard is supposed to be charismatic, manipulative. The Wizard uses his charisma to attract all of these people, to con all of these people, because the Wizard is a con artist. Jeff Goldblum is perfect for the character because we all love Jeff Goldblum. If you know him, you love him. So he is perfectly cast in this character. And it's amazing how Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard make you feel the comfort, the warmth, feel welcomed in Emerald City, and still have that evil in him, like that evil motivation in him. And for him to still make you feel all of that love for him, that is something that only Jeff Goldblum can do. Talk about, of course, Idina and Kristen. Their cameo in this movie was such a lovely moment. It was not forced, it was not overbearing. It didn't take away the spotlight from Ariana and Cynthia, so they were there to pass their torch to Cynthia and Ariana. And it is through the passing of the story of the arrival of the Wizard, the way that the story symbolizes how they are passing the roles of Glinda and Elphaba to Ariana and Cynthia, and to have an awesome number in one short day. We were just fanboying and fangirling so hard. Thank you so much for giving us this fan service. Of course, before everything, we have to attribute all of the amazing genius of the musical to Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the lyrics and the music. Bravo to you, a legend in the theater communities. Thank you so much for still being part of this movie. One of the most emotional and powerful scenes in the movie, the Oz Dust. I think this is one of the two parts that made people ugly cry in the theater, where Glinda and Elphaba had that amazing connection. The way that they did this scene, because in the musical it was also very emotional. It had comedic parts in that. It was still very emotional and it still had that slow moment on stage. The way that they crafted this scene in a film is Wow, I don't know how to express how powerful and how beautiful this scene is. When she went down to the dance floor, and then all of the people stared at her, and they were in a circle, and she was in the middle. The way that she moved, that both made the people around her uncomfortable and laugh and be scared of her. Then she clasped her hands, and it made the whole scene silent. She cannot hear anything because she is in her own space, and then she wore back the hat. It is so powerful how Fierro said to Glinda how she doesn't care about how people perceive her, and then Glinda answers that of course she does, of course she does care, that she just pretends not to, and getting very emotional. In the musical, that was just very abrupt and all very short, but in this movie, they made it so slow and very intimate how Glinda handed his training wand to Fierro, and then slowly joined Elphaba on the dance floor and also danced crazily, still very well choreographed in a way that they didn't look awful, they didn't look cringy. The way that Glinda wiped Elphaba's tears, I will treasure that scene in my heart for a long, long time. And of course, we have to talk about the dancing through life, the performance of Jonathan Bailey. As I said, he did an amazing job, amazing dance moves, and the way they incorporated the students in the scene. Fierro interacted with his classmates. And popular, and that was very quirky. Ariana here, just the way she grabs the chandelier and then spins, and then the way she sweeps the floor with her dress, the way that Ariana was radiating in this film. The term is radiating. She was luminous, she was glowing. All I can say is that Ariana really owned this role. My other favorite performance of hers is No One Mourns the Wicked, which actually opens the movie. That set the tone for the whole film when Ariana performs No One Mourns the Wicked, which is a very, very difficult song to perform because it is very high. You have to hit all of that high notes continuously. In the musical, that is actually kind of very comedic, the way that she tells the story of Elphaba. But in this movie, you can sense that they made the tone very serious, like very emotional. The way that Glinda is still very attached to Elphaba, and the way that Ariana put these nuances in that first act. She looks very like happy and rejoicing with the munchkins that the Wicked Witch is dead. Her movements and her facial expressions that she is hurting for Elphaba. No One Mourns the Wicked, which is the opening of the movie. Defying Gravity, which is the closing of the movie. The way that they opened and they closed this musical was actually very strong. The way that they started this movie set an awesome tone that they maintain, and then they have the strongest ending, the strongest climax. Defying Gravity is one of the most famous songs in the world. The way that Cynthia performed that song, and then she had all of those runs, all of those stylings. Oh my god, just thinking about it's giving me goosebumps. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande in that final scene. You will sob, you will howl, you will cry your heart out. Everyone I've been with, everyone I've been in the audience with, in the 3 times that I watched the movie, all of the people are crying. The way that they presented the sisterly bond, and the way that they presented how Glinda and Elphaba allowed each of them to grow apart, to fight for the thing that they think is right, let go of each other while still maintaining that friendship. Think about all of your friends, think about all of the special people in your life who you have an amazing connection with. Ariana and Cynthia were were like magic together. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo was born to play Glinda and Elphaba. My other favorite Cynthia performance was The Wizard and I, one of my favorite songs in the musical. The way she belted that note, all of us are belting. So of course, we know Wicked as having that pink and green hues, that motif theme. I love the way that they played with the light here, especially in the What Is This Feeling scene, where Glinda and Elphaba were sleeping, and then Glinda opened her light, which was bright pink, hit the face of Elphaba, her green skin, and that pink light. Awesome. And also in popular, everything is pink. Ariana's wardrobe in this movie is amazing. That Ozdust ball dress, I've already seen merch replicating that. In popular, her chiffon robe, which she sways and she dances with. Cynthia's skin was beautifully painted with green, which doesn't look natural. And yeah, this is the only critique that I have for this movie, that Shane Dana and I discussed in our vlog. The movie Wizard of Oz, which was released in 1939, was made with a special technology that gave the film color because, of course, it was 1939. They had to invent something to color the film, so they did that with Technicolor. That movie is iconic for a reason. Aside from being a great story of the Wizard of Oz, it was very colorful, it was very bright. They purposefully made Dorothy's slippers ruby so it should pop more. So that is just one of my qualms with this movie, is that it is kind of bland. The color grading should be a bit more bright and a bit more colorful. I'm not saying that this movie is dull in any way. I'm just saying that it kind of lacks that same pop of colors in the original The Wizard of Oz, and that's the only critique that I have. Dorothy's slippers was ruby red. So in the original Wizard of Oz, it was ruby red, but in the novel, it was actually silver. So they did that with this movie, and I loved how they designed that shoes of Nessa Rose, which will be given to Dorothy by Glinda in Act 2. The way that they designed that iconic shoes was amazing. It was beautiful. It was very detailed with all the rhinestones. It was silver and glimmering, and I loved how the case of that silver shoes paid an homage to the original 1939 film. Since the shoes is silver, they made the interior of its box or its case ruby. This is such a little detail, but I also appreciated it. The cup of Dr. Dillamond, the goat, he fit his hooves inside the cup so he can drink the tea. That attention to detail, that just shows how amazing John Chu is. So this is also a small thing, but I love the only jump scare in the movie where Faba was looking at the window and then there were flying monkeys. There was a monkey that barged in the windows. That was a fun jump scare. And then we'll be talking about the hard parts of the movie. The messaging and symbolism of oppression, the animal cruelty, that should be a symbolism to racism and also oppression, silencing the minorities, those who don't have voices. The way that they crafted the scenes affected me so much. Think about the line that Elphaba said, that imagine a world where animals can't speak. The propaganda aspect of Wicked. This movie opened as the biggest movie musical. I am so happy for that, of course, as a Wicked fan. Musical and the movie, some of the people didn't get that message. It was kind of lost in translation because some people forget that this movie is about propaganda, having a manipulative leader, a charismatic leader, a leader that has that evil in him. But people look past that because he is charismatic, because he manipulates people. People fail to see that. The point of that movie is to be careful of who you choose as leaders, because they might just be manipulating you. They might just be like charismatic. They might be liars. They might be evil human beings. This movie is not just about being pink and green, being girly, or being edgy, standing up for what is right. The way that they show the people that sometimes the person that we think is evil or is shown in a bad light, we just don't see their sides of the story, because Wicked is that story. Wicked is about twisting the narrative. Elphaba is that person who fights for what is right. The wizard is the evil one. Linda is actually the enabler, who tolerates that evil, who looks away, just follows the higher ups. If people fail to see that, I think there's something wrong. I hope that if you watch this movie, you don't let that be lost in translation, because this movie did an awesome job representing that. All of the things in this movie, all the aspects in this movie, perfect. I just cannot express how this movie means to me as a theater kid. I'm just so happy that this movie was made. I actually cannot believe how they pulled this off, because with such a popular IP such as Wicked, and for them to put all of their efforts that they crafted this masterpiece, is just unbelievable for me. It is actually kind of surreal how we have this musical that actually met the expectations of the fans of the musical. And the perfect casting, wow, it goes up my most favorite movies of all time. And I know that some people, the elitists, will say that I am overreacting, that I just haven't seen that much movies, but this movie just means so much to me. Cannot put into words how happy I am and how grateful I am. The way that I watched this movie 3 times with my special people, the way that I listened to the soundtrack from the original Broadway and now I'm listening to the movie soundtrack. Hello, editing Rafael here. So I forgot to rate the movie again. So I'm here to, state the obvious of how much I love this movie. So I'll give Wicked by John M. Chu 5 Azuras out of 5 Azuras. So yeah, this review is also long overdue because I was stuck editing it for how long it is. So yeah, I will be watching it for the fourth time later with my mom. It was so long before I got to post this. So yeah, please bear with me. Thank you. I give a round of applause to everyone, to Cynthia, to Ariana, to Jeff Goldblum, to Michelle Yeoh, to Jonathan Bailey, to all of the people behind the scene. Thank you so much, guys, for creating this awesome movie that I will cherish in my heart forever for good. Yeah, we still don't have for good. It is in Act 2, but and I am so excited for Act 2, which will be a year from now. I'm so excited for Thank Goodness, of course for good, No Good Deed. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I am emotional making it and having the pressure of doing this video. Know that you changed my life for good. Wicked movie. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Deuces!